The Bangalore-Mysuru Expressway, well, it brings down the time by 90 minutes, though it was operational for close to around 6 months, but it was formally inaugurated by Prime Minister Modi earlier this week. But there are a lot of concerns that are coming up, and the concerns related to high speed, because it's a high-speed expressway, concerns related to life, threat to lives, because the possibility whether motorists are allowed on that, I'm talking about two-wheelers, and whether people can possibly endanger their lives, all because of one operative word called speed. I'm joined by the DGP of Karnataka, Mr. Praveen Sood. Thank you so much for joining us here on News 18, sir.
Thank you, Rani.
The thing is, this expressway has brought in concerns about accidental deaths, or rather deaths due to accidents. Is there a possibility, because this is a high-speed expressway, the first of its kind in Karnataka and a different type in India as well, is that a concern, especially when it comes to speed?
Well, first of all, I would say this is a fantastic piece of infrastructure. It will make the journey between Bangalore and Mysuru very comfortable and faster also. Unfortunately, people are placing too much of emphasis on fast travel. I would say it's time for us to think that not only it should be comfortable, faster, but even safer. And I have seen large number of people trying to find fault with infrastructure here and there. There may be, no infrastructure is perfect, and I am sure there is scope for improvement even in this. But the fact is, it's the best piece of thing which has happened in Karnataka ever. Now there are various stakeholders who will be using this highway. Each of us have to be more responsible. We generally have a tendency to blame the infrastructure or the deficiencies for all the accidents that may happen and that are happening. But we have to do some soul searching. Are we driving responsibly? Because I always say that good infrastructure does not ensure the safer travel unless and until the people, the commuter, drive responsibly.
Right.
And the most important factor when we talk of driving responsibly on this is to drive not so, I mean, it's a license to drive, it's not a license to fly. The elevated road looks very nice, it is nice, but certainly we have to have self-control. To think of having enforcement on the top of elevated road would just defeat the purpose of having this.
Enforcement means physical police.
Physical enforcement is no, because that would defeat the purpose, and it's not a very good thing to do also. So people have to drive responsibly. I do not know, initially there may be mixed kind of traffic, so every stakeholder, every user has to be considerate to the other stakeholder like two-wheeler or four-wheeler and even heavy vehicles. But the bottom line is one has to drive not so fast and in a much safer manner.
But is there a concern that the possibility of deaths on these highways will go up because of the speed that is people will be driving in?
Historically, yes. If we see, I will give two examples. I was Commissioner of Police Mysore when this 2-lane became 4-lane.
This is in 2007.
2007. It became 2-lane. It used to be single lane on each side, so total 2 lanes, and it became 4-lane. That was the time. And it's a fact that the number of fatalities went up by 200 to 300%. For the simple reason, one, that the villagers who live on both the sides of this highway could not comprehend the change. They went on as if it was life as usual. For a villager, it is difficult to comprehend that the vehicle which used to drive at 40 is coming much faster at 80 or 90, and they would become victim of while crossing the roads. The second, the motorist who, again I say, misunderstood it to be a license to fly and drove very fastly. Third, at that time, there were not many facilities for the people living on both the sides of the road to cross the road. I mean, there are villages, people have houses on one side of the highway, their fields are on the other side of the highway, they have to take their bullock carts,
No
cars,
barricades
tractors.
as well.
At that time, there were no barricades also, so people would just run across and cross. So that time the fatalities went up very high, 2007. Another example I would give, when the new airport opened in Bangalore in 2008, beyond Hebbal, it was like a village-like situation. And I was in traffic police in Bangalore city at that time, and we would carry 2 or 3 dead bodies every day morning, which would have been run over in the night, and no one would even realize it, because villagers won't realize that the road has become very wide and much faster, and people, because of lighting, people would just drive very rash and negligently. So there also the fatalities went up.
This is that
Now,
Bangalore to Devanali through the new
yes,
airport
yes,
road you're talking about.
yes, that was 2008. Now this coming specifically to this highway, this is much better because large portion of it is elevated, and whatever is elevated or not elevated, there are side walls, so it's not easy, or it's not normal for the animals to stray into the highway, or to children to run across the highway, even the villagers trying to cross the highway. So it's a much better. Nevertheless, see, going by the past experience, because motorists tend to misuse the facility, and none of us is looking into ourselves that we also have responsibility to drive safely and be safe. So the initially the number of accidents would go up, but with little bit of awareness among villagers who live on both the sides of the highway, and more responsibility, and maybe little bit of enforcement at the toll gates. We can't do much enforcement on the elevated highway, but toll gate, the number of fatalities should come down and stabilize. But yes, initially, as we have seen, the fatalities go up.
You were mentioning in 2007 when it moved from a 2-lane to 4-lane, you saw a 300% rise in fatalities.
Yes.
Is the number very similar when it comes to this expressway?
I don't think so, no.
But you
No.
in terms of number percentage, would it be 50-60% rise?
I don't have the figures right now. I have not had a look at it because it's just 1 or 2 months. But I expect a 30 to 40% increase initially, which would subside and stabilize later.
Once people understand.
As the awareness. See, for a villager, that the vehicle is now coming at 120 speed and not 60 or 70, it takes time to comprehend. So things will stabilize, and if people are responsible, I would request and appeal to people that rather than finding engineering defects and finding reasons for accidents, if they start behaving well and if they start driving responsibly, the fatalities will definitely come down, and this would be one of the safest roads. I mean, this is one of the best infrastructure we have got in Karnataka, and this would become faster as well as safer road in times to come.
What would you be telling especially motorists? And I'm talking about four-wheelers now, because even though you said it could be a mixed traffic for now, there is a possibility that NHAI looks at diverting two-wheelers and tractors to the lower part of the expressway, while four-wheelers use it at the speed of whatever recommended speed of 100 to 120. What is the advice you'd like to tell them?
No, I am sure NHAI will have a plan to that effect, because they are the owner of this highway, and traditionally there have been schemes where the two-wheelers and slow moving vehicles like tractors and slow moving vehicles are asked to go use the service lane or the road below, which I guess is sometimes toll free also. So it's a decision which they would take. But yes, mixed traffic makes it more difficult, makes it more dangerous. And if there are vehicles which can move almost at the same speed, the highway we get the optimum benefit from the highway. But then that's easier for me to say. After all, there are people who live across on both the sides of the highway. To deprive them of all this facility may not be very fair. It's a disease, it's a policy